Welcome to the Happiness Alchemy podcast for magical women craving business, life, and spiritual growth. Stay with me to expand and empower yourself to live a life you love. Today I'm joined by Dora Rodrigu, the Shaman Paintress. Dora is a truly divine creative inspiration and an amazing artist. Dora's art, oracle cards, power portraits, and more are truly shamanic journeys, which bring back stories and healing. She creates art that you can meditate on, journal from, ponder what you see to bring about shifts, healing, insight, empowerment, and more. Her creations are channel created to help women find their authentic soul self, deep peace, and happiness, and tap into their inner power. And I can attest to this. I absolutely love her work. Welcome, Dora.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it is my absolute pleasure. So I'm excited to learn more about this because I've never really spoken to you too much, and I haven't really spoken to any other shaman paintresses, so I'm excited to learn more. So where did the inspiration come from to combine your spirituality and healing abilities into art?
Well, it was actually an accident because I've been using all of these gifts all my life separately, and it never crossed my mind to put them together until one day, I'd say it was about 3 years ago. It was in 2015, and I was bored that day. I had recently quit my job, and I was kind of starting to freelance, and I didn't really have that much work back then. And I just said, okay, I'm going to do this. I'm going to open my bag of paints that I have literally not opened in over 7 years. I'm going to open that up right now, even if there's like bugs coming out. I don't know what the heck is in there, right?
Just that urge, right?
Yeah, I'm like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to face my fear. And I kept hearing everything that you want is on the other side of fear.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I was just painting away, and I got inspired by an image of the beautiful Azores Islands.
Oh, and I love that.
Yeah, they're awesome. Basically, it was a picture of Pico Island. Mm-hmm. So like that big volcanic mountain with the water. And I was like, wow, what a beautiful picture. And if I didn't mention that already, I am Portuguese. My father is from the Azores and my mother's from Lisbon.
I love it. Oh, it just gives me full body goosebumps. I love this story. Okay, continue.
No problem. So I was painting, and I have a grandmother, my dad's mother, who passed away before I was even born. She passed away when my dad was only about 9 years old. And out in the middle of painting, all of a sudden I got a clairvoyant vision of her. And she was just so happy. She was just like, I think she was in the car with my grandfather or something, and she was just so blissful and peaceful, and it lasted, like a split second, as you know how these clairvoyant visions can be. And I was like, wow, what just happened?
Wow. And at this point, had you already been, pretty open to your shaman abilities and all of that?
I, at that point, had a little bit of energy healing done to kind of open my gifts up. I actually awakened when I was 12 years old. That's when my gifts started to come out. But I like to think that my official awakening happened just a little bit later.
Yes.
So I wasn't completely open at that point.
Gotcha. So this vision was a big deal then.
It was I started to have clairvoyant visions when I was 13. So, I knew what a vision was. I just didn't connect the dots. I did not connect it. I didn't realize that it was because of the painting. Like I thought,
right.
I just happened to have a vision while I was
right.
painting.
Coincidence.
Yeah, coincidence, exactly. So I didn't think anything of it. And it was only 9 months later that after being told 3 times by 3 different psychics that I was meant to combine my gifts together. And then finally I said, you know what, I'm just going to disregard my tendency to want to do realistic art, because I was doing, illustrations and stuff like that back then. I'm going to just throw this out the window, and I am just going to go with my gut. Just see, like just do art according to whatever I feel like doing. Like, I mean, I was always really into mermaids and beautiful colors and purples and blues. You know me, like I'm all about the pretty colors and,
Yes.
you know, the mermaids and the dolphins and all that. So I'm like, I'm just going to do what I love, do focus on these beautiful images that I just keep getting. And, you know, I basically put myself out there. Like, and it was really scary to do, but I did it. And I mean, the rewards were pretty incredible beyond my wildest dreams. So, yeah.
Oh my goodness. I love that. And I find that's such a theme with the women that I talk to as well. Like it just kind of like just a little sprinkle. Like it's just a little tiny, it's not necessarily a giant, huge calling. This is what I'm meant to do, but it's just little sprinkles of information. And then as they follow it, it continues to open up. And it's just, I just find it so amazing. And I do every time I hear a story like yours, it's just full body goosebumps because it's just coming into your potential. It's absolutely gorgeous. I love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, so you really started allowing yourself this space to follow and do what you love, even though you had fear, which is a lesson to everybody listening. Take action on that. So I have another question for you too, something else I'm very intrigued by. So I see that you work on oracle cards and you create like custom oracle card art for decks, which is ridiculously amazing. So can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Sure. I was suggested quite a few times to create oracle cards because they're like, oh, you make such beautiful art, like, you know, that would be such a great passive income source for you.
Yeah.
And I was like, nah, that's too much. That's too overwhelming for me. At the time I was too afraid. I'm like, oh, but I have to think of printing and then I have to like find some sort of publisher or like Hay House or something like that.
All the details. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking of all that, and then finally someone was like, oh, well, why don't you just use like so-and-so website and, you know, just print on demand and that kind of thing. And I'm like, okay, all right, that could sort of work.
Yeah.
And then one day I was, again, I tend to find these things when I'm bored for some reason, when I have like time to think.
When you have space, yeah.
Yeah, when there's space in my brain. I was looking at my Dora, like, you know, I have like my files, my scans, and I was looking at them and I'm like, hey, well, this is a really great theme for abundance. And this is a really great theme for unconditional love. And then over this one is like really good for, oh, I don't know, forgiveness or whatnot. I'm like, I already have my oracle card deck. I don't even have to do anything. So I just got busted out Photoshop, and I think I made like my first deck in like a week.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, like I was just like putting it together in Photoshop and being like, this is a great card for this, and this is a great card for that. And like, and one thing led to another, and there it was.
Oh my goodness. And that's like 44 cards about in an oracle card deck?
Yeah, like it depends. Like I've actually done like one of my latest ones only has 35 cards.
Mm-hmm.
But all the other ones have 44.
Oh my goodness. That's amazing. It's so beautiful. And you guys, the thing about this too, the thing about us talking here on this podcast is I really encourage you to go check out Dora's website, which it'll be on the show notes below, but just so that you can see some of her art and tune into it and kind of draw your own conclusions from it, because it's really quite something. It's different to see it with your eyes than to actually just hear about it. So that's absolutely amazing. So, okay. So now another question too, and I want to switch things up a little bit too for anybody out there that's listening that has that kind of artistic pull, that really feels called to do that and might have a little bit of experience or interest in energy. What advice would you give to somebody who's feeling pulled to create like a healing art of their own?
Okay, well, I would say that I would actually suggest that they would abandon anything that the art scene may have influenced you to do, or any anything that they may have suggested to you, anything that you may have absorbed from society, the beliefs in the collective and such, to just throw that all out the window and just really abandon that ego and tune into your higher self, into your intuition, and just follow that, because that is where your success is. It's not in anything that the world has taught you, because the world has nothing. It's all inside of you.
Oh, I love that so much. Yeah, and that's where like the really authentic expression comes from. It's being detached from the things going on around you, and instead, yes, just focusing on your own personal power and channeling all that through. I love that. That's really, not only is that good advice for like people creating art, but I mean, that can be applied to business and all kinds of things, which I see so many business owners being like, I have to fit into this box or this box. And it's like, no, forget about what's going on around you and tune into yourself. So I love that. The sage advice.
I agree.
Love it. Yeah, yeah. Really good. Okay, can you give me an example? And this is something that I ask everybody that I interview. Give me an example when you created happiness alchemy in your life. So what I mean by that is just turning like a challenge or a struggle into this transformation of a higher version of yourself, into awareness and light.
Well, I have a couple of different I guess, times where that has happened.
Mm-hmm.
But the one that I'm called to share about that's the most relevant is that, okay, as you know, I do power portraits, and yes. I felt inspired, and I was nudged quite a couple of times to create one for myself this one time. And so basically what I do is I take kind of one of your pictures and I get inspired, like for the base. Mm-hmm. I will get inspired from your photo, but then I'll go and I'll incorporate elements of your soul, like symbols and messages that may come through. And I then infuse all of that with a couple of shamanic activations. But when I do it for myself, I was more just focusing on the message and whatnot. But I didn't realize the power, the sheer power, without even infusing the art. The power that came out of this, because a couple of hours after, having released all of my fears and finding that confidence and that power, I started attracting income out of nowhere. And I actually, I set myself up for a really successful week. It was on a Sunday, and I had an incredible week after that. So that channeling and that just connecting to my higher self that way, it allowed for such an expansion. And I mean, this is what I suggest to my clients whenever they feel stuck. This is the ideal offering for that kind of thing.
Yes. Okay. That's very, very, very cool. Okay. So that's your power portraits.
Yeah.
That's very, very interesting. So you gift it yourself. Oh, so I like this because it goes a lot with, what I talk about a lot, which is being your own self-healer as well. So you created this happiness alchemy in your life by gifting yourself your own gifts, which a lot of people forget to do. But I love that so much that that's how it was created for you. And so anybody out there that's feeling stuck, seriously, check out our website, because that's amazing. It's so, so, so potent. I love it. I love it. Okay. So as you know, as I'm kind of blabbering on, I really love the work that you do. And I really encourage people to go and check out your website, check out your Facebook page, and learn more. So can you tell me a little bit about what you're working on right now? Is there anything particular, and where others can find more about you online?
Sure. Well, I have my website, which is paintedora.com, which I'm thinking you'll spell it out in the description.
Yep, I will.
I have a very humble little Facebook group called the Painted Dreamers.
Perfect.
And that's where I share most of my art. I mean, I don't share my art. I try to share my art around, social media, but that is really where you will find the bulk of it, and where I really will share kind of more of the backstory of the painting. And I also do some Facebook Lives in there and offer some insight, and lots of fun things happen there.
Awesome. Yeah, we'll link to that as well for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And I want to mention as well, I do have next week, I will be starting to do one-on-one classes for shamanic painting.
Oh, I love that so much. That's, yeah. So like, I mean, all the things that we just talked about, consider how that would feel to be, being taught that and channeling that of your own. So yeah, sorry, continue on with that.
Well, basically, this is going to be a 3-part class, and this is ideal for some of you who maybe tend to give your power away to, it's okay to get healing sessions done, but sometimes it's actually possible for you to, as you mentioned before, to heal yourself. And a lot of the times we are capable of healing ourselves if we develop that self-awareness.
Yes.
So, this class would actually potentially save you hundreds and thousands of dollars a year on energy healing, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's not an understatement.
Yeah, it's not, definitely. So I'm going to be teaching how to channel for a specific subject or theme, which is ideal if you want to create your own oracle cards. And honestly, your oracle cards are going to be a heck of a lot more accurate if you do them yourself.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
A heck of a lot more accurate. And the second part will be me showing you how I go on a shamanic journey through painting.
Oh, beautiful.
So you'll be able to just kind of explore places where you've always wanted to go.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the third one is going to be the most intense one because I'm going to be teaching how to clear a blockage in yourself or for a client. So this is not only an investment for yourself, it's an investment for your business.
That is amazing. So is there any who would be appropriate to come into this? Would you suggest they already had some experience with energy work or with art, or who's the right person to come into this?
Ideally, you don't necessarily need a lot of experience with art because the point of this class isn't to create aesthetic art. It's to create healing art, which it's a different branch,
Gotcha.
I say.
Yes.
It's more like art therapy.
Yeah.
But I do recommend that you have a really good, a pretty decent psychic base. Like if you're somewhat at least clairvoyant and somewhat clairaudient, it's better. But I will obviously be combining this class with shamanic activations. I'll be running a couple of activations each class, along with my shamanic painting attunement, which will help you, basically, will give you kind of my quote-unquote modality. It's not really a full modality yet, but it's somewhat my modality. So you will be
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. So as long as you have a little bit of kind of intuitive opening there, you're going to be good to go, just kind of trusting the process.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing. I love it. Okay, that is amazing. Okay, so I'm going to link all of these things in the show notes below. Dora, thank you so, so much for joining me today.
Thank you to you too. And you're welcome.
Thanks for listening to the Happiness Alchemy podcast. If you know someone who would resonate with this message, please share this episode with them. Sending so much gratitude. Have an amazing day.